The end of art. You sure, Danto? In 1964, Arthur Danto saw Brillo box, and in 1995, he stated that if it can't be distinguish art from everyday's objects, this a philosophy problem, the problem of the indiscernibles. The theory that ended was the Vazirik's representation theory. Theories must progress, and as representation can't progress any longer, it ended. The problem of indiscernibles is philosophical, so no other theory of art is possible. Art ended in an artist from New York, Warhol. Art theory ended in a philosopher from New York, Danto. It seems that Danto forgot Dutch Hamp and Dada. Perhaps because from 1917, art developed, and not ended. Cubism, Surrealism, political art, Mexican muralism, optic art, constructivism, etc., etc., etc. And still develops nowadays, due to the existence of the most numerous, diversified, interconnected, artists community ever known before. Hence, I will not go on with Danto, and show beyond Danto, a constructive theory of art.
Representation in Art by Cesar Lorenzano. Fisp. Untreff.
La 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 la.
No, no, no. No, so soft. This is not what I thought. Let us start again. This is much better.
Representation do not exists. Not in language, not in science, not in society, and certainly not in art. Chobet, 30,000 years ago. How is possible art? Altamira, 15,000 years ago. How is it possible that art comes from the very beginning of humanity? Picasso, a contemporary artist, and his bulls. Art did not change much in so many years. To look, to see, to do art. Is art an exact copy of what we see? Art is full of images that remind us the world we live in. Do we see exactly what is in front of us? According to Vasari, who proposed the representation theory of art in the Renaissance, that is the case. Even in our days, works of art identified with something in the world are classified as representationists. Leonardo da Vinci says, "Oh, you must paint as if you have a glass in front of the model, and you try to cover it with paintbrushes the model's image in the glass, until you can't distinguish if you see the model or the painting." Oh, believe me, this is the actual Mona Lisa, not her portrait. This is my ironic interpretation of Vasari's claim. Magritte, own ironic interpretation, do we see the world or the glass?
A beautiful drawing from Michelangelo. It is the result of a perfect anatomy knowledge, not from geometry. We can see previous the anatomic drawing, its structure. Picasso challenged the representation theory. Picasso, and art in general, can't be explained by that theory. My claim is that artists in the act of drawing or painting externalize a structure, internalize their professional training. They do no paint or draw what they perceive.
I think in a perceptual structure, a kind of Gestalt, between the model and the artist, that, in a Kantian way, conditions the perception of the model, and therefore the work of art. Brock, the structure and the model. The inner structure organizes the elements of the painting. Is interior, not exterior. Behaves as a sort of Kantian structure, shaping the experience. But Kantian structures are a priori, and the ones I propose are not. They are constructed in two different stages. The first stage is the imprint of Piaget conceptions. According to Piaget, intelligence, and its development, explains everyday perception. We adapt his theory to art as our first structural stage, the stage of the common eye. This first stage is not enough to explain art. It is necessary, a second stage to explain it. A structure constructed in the professional training of artists, that evolves constantly. The artist's eye. It is complex perceptual structure, mixture of professionalism and passion. It sees relations in the world that the common eye don't see. Artists share with us the common eye, and sees as we do. But the artist can see the world with the artist eye. Picasso sees Dora Mars with the common eye, and then with the cubist eye. Now, we will deepen in the particularities of the artist's eye. We will add to its general characterization, the fact of being dispositional, and its relations with other structures. Artists see the world as what it would look like if he transforms it into a work of art. Perhaps, all kinds of scene are linked to emotion, and the ability of doing something. But scene, emotion and ability, are specific in art, printed in the work of art in the process of doing, and inseparably united to its symbolic meaning. We will mention the existence of a third eye, the one possessed by those who appreciate art, but are not artists. The art lover's eye. Perception of art triggers the epistemic, emotive and symbolic structures linked to it. Art makes we discover unknown aspects of us. This self-recognition is one of the eternal charms of art. And also, perhaps hidden, the intuition of its symbolic content. See the painting. Abraham, a father, is going to kill his son, because God asked it. You do not have to be a psychologist to be touched by it, if you pay enough attention. I will introduce you in one of the most amazing drawing technique that teaches to draw without looking the drawing paper, and, spite of that, the art students after a year can draw anything in an expressive, not mechanical, personal way. It is of the most unexpected corroboration of the structural, post-Piagetian theory of art. The Natural Way to Draw, by Camus Nicolaides. There you see Camus, and his book. You do not need me to read about his life. I learned it from Professor Gilberto Aceves Navarro, from the Mexican School of Art, ENAP, when it was still in San Carlos, in the center of the DF. Long time ago, before the ENAP went to Xochimilco. Nicolaides' technique consists in drawing the model without looking the paper. First exercise, slow contour, is the most difficult to teach, understand, and do it well, but is the key to the others. The eyes follow slowly the model contour, meanwhile the pencil in the paper moves coordinated to the sight. Second exercise, rapid contour. great masters of art uses this technique. And as far as I know, every good artist uses it, knowing it or not. And other exercises, as you see. Many or all these examples were given to us by a Saves Navarro assistant, Begonia, a good friend of us.
This is very interesting. The students acquire a Gestalt, so complete and detailed, that they can draw something, as if it is seen from different points of view, different from the one they see actually. I illustrate it with two daring foreshortening from Dali, who probably never hangs someone in a cross and look from the head or from the feet.
The technique creates a structural relation between the eye, the hand and the shapes of the model. An isomorphism or a less strict homomorphism. The coordinated movements of the eye and the hand, their actions, are internalized as the internal image of the model. There is a strong similarity with Piaget's claim of how children and adolescents acquire knowledge. They act in the natural and social world, and internalize the formal, structural, elements of actions. That structure, that Gestalt, constructed by the epistemic self, is the knowledge of the world. The difference resides in that this mechanism acts in another level. No children's level, but the adult and specialized level of art. And I also believe in science. Only after a long time working in art, artists acquire the ability to draw that Nicolay's technique students get in 1 year.
Let us see now another kind of Gestalt that superimposes to the previous styles. Even when the image is similar, the way it is treated differs notoriously. The line is clear in classic, and broken in Baroque. In mannerism the image is distorted. Picasso Cubist style sees the world, and even Velázquez Baroque manners, in a very different way, etc., etc. Styles conditions the artist's eye, we already know. But every artist develops their own version of the style in which they are trained or changed to another.
The structural theory of art claims that art is the projection of the inner artist's structures, printed on different materials. Artists' structures are dispositional mechanisms to see, to feel, and to act. And I remark dispositional. Perhaps up to now, this mechanism is too rigid. Let us loosen it.
There is no such an internal deposit of images, but a diffuse, neural nets, that recreates them when this disposition mechanism is activated by an external stimulus, and never are identical. Therefore, the projected image never is the same, and their small differences allow new perspectives to be explored. They enrich perception and art. Similar, but not identical. The exteriorization of inner, unconscious structures reveals to the artist feelings, images, emotions he ignores that were there. The knowledge of buffaloes. The critical eye of art shows us the circumvented realities of society. Art is a way to know the possibilities of materials and the limits of human perception. Certainly, art is not representation. It is about interpretation of art and the world. Here, a professor presents an exercise to 3 students that consists in painting a model in the same position of a well-known painting from Modigliani. All the 3 make different paintings. The professor chose the best and explains why. Eduardo Silberstein, a recognized painter, specialized in female nude, shows us his technique. There was no model, so he recreates for us one of his former works. Pay attention that, as Michelangelo did in his drawing, he establishes first the anatomic structure in that specific position, because the human body adapts bones and muscles to it, so as to keep the equilibrium. Silberstein is aware of that, and thinks that is the secret that makes us see it as natural. Only once this is done, he draws the limits, the content of the anatomy. This is one of his paintings.
Gracias, muchas gracias por la atención prestada. Espero que lo hayan pasado bien.